Good morning and welcome everyone to BreathSpace. And this is the very first session of BreathSpace. And I'm really, really glad you're here. And thank you whether you're joining me live or you're watching this back later. Because this is a space that I've created for you. BreathSpace is a place where I wanted to create a space where we can just kind of step out of the noise. This is because we're all running on empty, we're all moving from task to task, moment to moment, without ever truly pausing and taking a break. So I wanted to be able to offer a space where we can all kind of step off the hamster wheel, if you like, even just for a little while, and just create a little bit of space for us to breathe, to rest, and to reset. And this is because when we give our mind and body permission to pause, even very briefly, we reconnect with ourselves. We begin to feel again. And in that stillness, something really powerful happens. We remember that we're human and that we matter and that we deserve care too. And I didn't want BreathSpace to be about fixing or achieving anything. No, it's just about creating a moment, a space in your week that's just for you. A moment to reconnect with yourself, just to be able to breathe and to feel and just be. So every Friday at 10 a.m., we'll gather here for a gentle conversation on a theme that speaks to your mental and emotional well-being. And you can join me live or you can watch back at any time on the replay in the Facebook group. And you can also send me your questions as well via the Facebook group or a message or even by email. And this space is a judgment-free space. There's no pressure to speak or to share. You're welcome here exactly as you are. And every session, we will close with a short breath work or meditation that will help you leave here feeling lighter, calmer, and more grounded. And so, as I was thinking about this first episode, I was thinking, where do we start? Where's the best place to start? And I thought, well, let's begin where all meaningful change starts. And that's with you. And not just the version of you that's productive or doing well, but the version of you that's tired, the version of you that makes mistakes, the version of you that feels overwhelmed or feels like they're not enough. So the theme of today is self-compassion. And because for so many of us, the way we treat ourselves when we're struggling is far harsher than how we treat a friend who may be going through something very similar. And yet the thing that we need most in those moments is not judgment, but kindness. So what is self-compassion? And in essence, self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness and patience and understanding that you would offer to someone else, someone you care about. And this is something that I often say to patients, clients, friends, even family when we're having a discussion about something that might be going on with them? It's such a powerful question to ask yourself. If you're finding that you're criticizing yourself about something or you're beating yourself up about something, ask yourself that question. What would I say to a friend if they were asking me for the same advice? The psychologist Kristen Neff describes self-compassion in three parts. The first element is mindfulness. And it's about acknowledging your pain without ignoring it or without exaggerating it. Just being aware of it in a non-judgmental way, just being aware that it's there and noticing its presence. The next part is common humanity. And this is about realizing that you're not alone in what you're feeling. These feelings and patterns are very common in most of us. And the third aspect is self-kindness. Being able to speak to yourself gently instead of harshly. Now, this might sound really simple, and it probably does when you think about it, but let's be honest. Do we give ourselves that same kindness? Because many of us weren't taught to do this. We probably learned that we should be hard on ourselves to stay motivated. And that we should be hard on ourselves in order to protect ourselves from shame and embarrassment. So no wonder we find this so difficult. Yeah, maybe we were raised to believe that being kind to yourselves is selfish. Maybe we believed that we deserve to feel bad if we mess up. Or maybe we've just never heard that inner voice speak to us with warmth. We often hear that inner voice in a harsh, critical way, but have you ever heard it speak kindly? But here's the truth. Being kind to yourself is not weakness. It's emotional strength. And let that just sit with you for a moment. Being kind to yourself is not weakness, it's emotional strength. Because when you're in the middle of a struggle, self-compassion, it doesn't ignore the problem, but it simply says, I see you and I care about you and you're still enough. And sometimes that might be all it takes to start shifting the feeling, to begin to create a sense of calm and safety. Just by raising your awareness to the presence of what's going on with you, just understanding and recognizing that there's something going on with you and that you can now see it. And rather than be judgmental or critical, just noticing it and being there and offering that kindness just starts to take away the emotional pressure. So I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, when you're struggling, what does your inner voice sound like? Would you speak to a friend in the same way that you speak to yourself? And if you notice that your inner critic is quite harsh, then try offering yourself the same words that you would offer to your friend in the same situation. Just take a few moments to reflect. Just ask yourself, when you're struggling, what does your inner voice sound like? And would you speak to your close friend in the same way that you speak to yourself? And then try offering yourself that same advice, those same words that you would offer your friend. And now notice how you feel. Notice how you start to feel when the words change, and how your state then starts to change with it. Okay. So I wanted to move on to a few questions I've received over the last week. So a big thank you to anybody who's emailed and messaged me with a couple of questions. I really appreciate it. And please do, for further topics, do email me or message me your questions. So there were some really powerful questions that came through about self-compassion. And I'm sure we can all relate to these. So the first question was, I feel guilty when I try to be kind to myself. It feels selfish, like I'm neglecting other people. So how do I get past that? And this is really common. So first thing to recognize is that you're not alone with this feeling. But let's look at it from a different perspective. So we often think of self-care as taking away from others. But what if we saw it as actually making us better for other people? Because when you're grounded and kind to yourself, you have more patience, more clarity, and more energy to give. Self-compassion isn't selfish. It's sustainable, and then even more valuable. It really is like giving yourself and others a gift. The best example is when we try and take on too much because we don't want to say no to people, we don't want to feel guilty, we don't want to let people down. And so we take on more and more and more to the point that we're exhausted and annoyed and irritated and resentful and not thinking clearly. And just think, in that moment, are you the best version of yourself? Are you the best version of yourself and for other people, or for the work that you're trying to do? And you'll probably say, no, I'm not. And so perhaps the greatest kindness is to say no at times when you know you're over your capacity and you're struggling and you're taking on too much. And there is a way to say no without feeling guilty and without and where the other person understands where you are coming from. Something as simple as, this is not something I have the capacity to take on right now. It doesn't need justification, and it just tells the other person where you are right now. Another question I received was, I've tried to be more compassionate with myself, but it just feels fake. I don't believe it. Is that normal? And the answer simply is absolutely. It is normal. And that's because when self-criticism has become your default, then kindness might feel awkward or even dishonest at first. But I encourage you to stick with it. Self-criticism has become a default because it's become that pattern that's ingrained itself within us. It's embedded itself because your brain has rewritten it over and over and over again until it's become completely automatic. Hence, trying to do something different, like being more compassionate and kind, is going to feel unusual. But in the same way that we've written the self-criticism path, we can write a new path and a new pattern. Think of it like learning a new language. You have to learn to speak it before you become fluent at it and before you can trust yourself with it. And so over time, the more we practice this new way, your nervous system will begin to trust this new way and you'll start to believe it more. And I do this with clients when I'm working with them, when we talk about positive self-talk. And we sometimes create like a very short positive mantra that they can say to themselves. And I ask them at least once a day to repeat this to themselves. And I challenge them to do it every morning, to look in the mirror, look yourself in the eye in the mirror and say it to yourself. And trust me, I know because I've tried this. When you start to do it, it feels really difficult. It feels awkward. And it takes time to get used to it because we're not used to giving ourselves praise. But the more you do it, the more that belief becomes embedded within you and the more you trust yourself with it. And then another question I received was, well, where do I even start with self-compassion? It feels totally unfamiliar. And this is such a powerful question. And it's one that so many of us, we carry around silently. And just as we've mentioned before, self-compassion can feel very alien at first because it's not something that we're taught. And if we've spent years being driven and critical or constantly putting other people first, then turning that kindness inwards towards ourselves, it can feel really unnatural. And it reminds me of a client that I worked with, a really successful businessman. He'd built multiple companies, had a loving family, very highly respected. But behind all of that, he was extremely self-critical. And the moment something didn't go to plan, the moment something didn't go as he perceived it should go, that was it. His whole world would entirely collapse around him. He would instantly be blaming himself, spiraling into guilt and punishing himself mentally for not being good enough. So what we discovered together was that the habit of self-criticism had become so automatic and so ingrained that it felt like the truth. to him. He was believing the criticism he was giving himself. And so with him, it wasn't about starting with big affirmations or trying to love himself overnight. We had to start small. And that's the best place to start, is start with a very small shift. And with him, the first shift came through helping him see things from a slightly different perspective, like a slightly different lens. And as an example, as we talked about a deal that may not have gone through, rather than him saying, I failed to close that deal, we asked him to reframe it into something like, I showed up. I gave my best. It didn't land this time, but that doesn't define my worth. There will be other opportunities. And just by starting to shift perspective, this is where he started to learn to be kinder to himself. And his self-compassion started to grow. And as we said, sometimes the most powerful way to begin with self-compassion is to ask yourself, well, what would I say to my dearest friend who is going through the same thing right now? And then offer yourself that same kindness. And even placing a hand on your heart and gently saying to yourself, this is hard, and I'm doing the best I can. This begins to create awareness in the situation without judgment. And this can begin to soften that critical inner voice. So it's about creating these small micro moments of kindness, but doing it consistently. And you don't even need to feel it fully at first. Just begin to practice. Just keep practicing it over time. And those moments will build into trust with yourself. And they will begin to challenge the old beliefs that harshness equals strength. So again, I want to thank everyone for those questions. They were really great questions, and please do keep your questions coming, because they really do support the themes that we're talking about. Cool. Just before we move into the meditation, I want to leave you with one simple practice that you can take into the week ahead. Each day, just pause for a moment and ask yourself, what is it that I need right now? It could be rest, it could be movement, it could be silence, it could be something really, really small. But just take a moment to notice and feel what it is that you need right now. And whatever it is, meet it with kindness and take a small action towards it. Because that's where self-compassion begins. Okay, so we're going to go into a self-compassion meditation to just continue the theme of what we're doing today and hopefully leave you feeling a bit warmer and calmer, with a bit more kindness and compassion towards yourselves. Let's begin. Find a comfortable position for yourself, either seated or lying down. Let your eyes close gently and start by taking slow, deep breaths in and out through your nose. Bring your awareness onto your breathing. Notice the air as it goes in through your nose and fills your lungs. And as you breathe out, the air just evaporates away. Let's do that again. Breathe in deeply and breathe out gently. And with each breath that you breathe in calm, relaxing energy. And with each breath you breathe out, relaxing deeper, letting go of anything that you don't need right now. Now begin to allow your breath to just settle into a natural rhythm that's right for you. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. And let it anchor you into this present moment. And we'll begin by deepening the connection between body and breath. So when you next breathe in, count to 4 in your mind. Breathe in, hold the breath gently, 2, and slowly breathe out for 6. Breathe in for 4, hold the breath gently, and breathe out. Breathe in for 4, hold the breath, and breathe out for 6. Each time you breathe in, breathing in calm, relaxing energy. And each time you breathe out, letting go of any stress, tension, or worry anywhere in the body. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and breathe out for 6. Breathing in calm, and breathing out any stresses, tensions, or worries. And now return again to your own natural breath, but allow each breath to just soften and relax you just a little more. And now let's bring your attention gently to your body. without judgment or the need to change anything. Just become aware of what is. Notice your body as it is right now, however it feels. Bring your awareness to the top of your head, to the forehead. Allow it to relax, softening the space around your eyes and eyelids. Relax your jaw and let your tongue rest gently. Notice your shoulders. Are they holding any tension right now? Allow them to drop even very slightly, and breathe softness into them. Scan down your arms, your elbows, the wrists, the hands, and the fingers, and just notice. And now bring your attention to your chest. Feel it rise and fall with your breath. Let your heart space open, just enough to let a little light in. Scan down through your stomach and your lower back, gently acknowledging how this area feels. And offer a silent thought. It's okay to feel this. I'm here with you. Continue down to your hips, the thighs, the knees, the calves, and finally down to your feet, resting gently on the ground or the surface below. You don't need to fix anything, just notice. Offer yourself kindness just for showing up today, for being here. And now bring to mind a moment recently where you were hard on yourself. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you felt like you weren't enough. And just notice how that feels in your body. But just notice. And now ask yourself, what would I say to a friend if they were in the same situation? Can you offer yourself those words right now? Even if it feels unfamiliar, even if part of you resists, just allow kindness to enter, even just a whisper. And you may say silently, I'm doing my best. It's okay to be human. I deserve care and compassion just as much as anyone else. Let these words sink in and wrap around you like a warm blanket. And now return to your breath. Feel its gentle rhythm, steady, reliable, and always there. Let your breath remind you that you're alive and that each inhale is a beginning and each exhale is a letting go. As you breathe in, imagine you're breathing in kindness. And as you breathe out, letting go of harshness and judgment. Breathe in kindness and breathe out self-judgment. Breathe in acceptance and breathe out self-criticism. Allow your breath to anchor you in this new way of being. And now gently bring your awareness back to the space you're in. Wiggle your fingers and your toes and feel the surface beneath you. And before you move, take a moment to thank yourself for showing up, for giving yourself space, for simply being. And let this feeling stay with you as you move through your day. A little gentler, a little kinder, and a little more at peace with yourself. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. So I want to thank you so much for being here today, for showing up for yourself. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this first session. And this is just the beginning of what we're building together here in BreathSpace. And as I said, this is a space for you. So if you've enjoyed today's session, you have any comments or feedback, then please send me a message, either email or a private message, or even comment in the group, and I'd be very grateful to hear your thoughts. And we can evolve this into something so much better for all of us. The replay will be in the Facebook group very shortly, and you're welcome to watch again and reflect. And if there is someone you feel that may benefit from this, that may need it, then please invite them to join the group. And next week, we'll be exploring another very powerful theme. The theme will be abundance. So take some time out to reflect on what this means for you. And we will explore this next week. And do remember, if you have any questions about next week's theme, then you can send them in at any time via a private message or an email, The email is info@drranjsagoo.com. And until then, I want to thank you once more for joining me. I hope you found the session really helpful. And so be kind to yourselves, and I'll see you next time.